Okay, this next video is
Our full
about
embargo has lifted.
the Steam Deck. I'm a little skeptical of the Steam Deck, so we gonna see what what this prognosis is for the
And
Steam
in
Deck.
just 6 days, the Steam Deck will ship to end users in a state that can only be described as unfinished, which puts me in an awkward position as a reviewer. On the one hand, I want to be optimistic. The kind of zeal with which Valve is tackling this project is like nothing I've ever witnessed in all my time covering technology. They're on a mission to change the industry come hell or high water, and it's no secret that I'm rooting for them. Every major player in the console gaming space, I'm looking at you, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, has made enough blatantly anti-consumer moves over the years that I can't help but cheer for a disruptor. On the other hand, I can't review the hypothetical Steam Deck of tomorrow, one with Windows drivers and improved UI and better game compatibility. If it's shipping as is, I have to evaluate it as is.
First of all, I want to say that calling out the other companies' anti-consumer practices, I'm on board there. I agree. I believe a lot of the top gaming companies have really enforced these anti-gaming practices, whether it be the pay to wins in their games, the cosmetics, the microtransactions. You know, it's important to still, even though they're calling it out, to really critique what it is they're doing as well as far as their product.
And I'm going to be doing it a little differently than you might expect. See, this thing has the capability to be treated like a science fair project. You can tweak it, break it, reformat it, start over, and Valve is embracing that. Good guy Valve. But most people aren't going to do any of that.
I'm not doing
today,
any of that.
I'm going to be focusing on the out-of-box
I really value my
console
technology.
experience.
I don't want to break it and
Ready
get
or not,
in
Valve,
there. I just want it to
here I
work.
come.
I want to get what
This
I paid
video is
for.
brought to you by D.
At its starting price of $400 US, the hardware in the Steam Deck is literally impossible. The internals of this thing put it in the same performance class as Ultrabooks that cost twice or even up to 3 times as much. And if it's a title in Steam's game library, the deck is almost certainly capable of running it at 60 FPS if you're willing to turn down the details. And that colossal back catalog is both its greatest strength and its biggest question mark. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit though. Firing up the Steam Deck cold takes just a few seconds. Now let's get logged into a Steam account, you'll need to be online for this obviously, and take a tour of the interface. At launch, all the basics are pretty well covered, and I was surprised at how self-explanatory just about every menu was. Home here contains your recently launched games, news, and recommended picks from your library based on the tastes of gamers with a similar profile. One surprisingly jarring feature for me on this page was the Friends tab. I mean, it's a pretty simple feed of games that your friends are playing and recent events. You can see mine is empty because I don't have any friends. And you can chat with them to play together
No
or
friends.
view a game
Sag.
that you don't already own in the store. That's just pretty normal stuff, right? But what it serves to highlight is the Steam Deck's online-first design, and I couldn't help feeling, looking at this, like the Switch is suddenly this relic of a different gaming era. The rest of the main menu is accessed using the Steam button. You can hold it, by the way, for a comprehensive list of useful shortcuts or chords. Then from here, you can use any of the 4 methods of navigation: joystick, D-pad, touchpad, or touch screen to arrive at your destination.
That's a
And
lot of
wherever
options.
that destination is, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to find some, let's call them growing pains.
Bro, hold on 1 second. I want to refocus on this. Look how he's holding that. I mean, I know you're probably not supposed to be holding that with one hand, but look how weighty that thing is on his hand. Look how he's fiddling around and trying to like maneuver it in his hand.
Here, you can use any of the 4 methods of navigation: joystick, D-pad, touchpad, or touch screen to arrive
Watch
at your
right
destination.
here.
And wherever that destination is, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to find some, let's call them
That
growing
type of
pains.
stuff, that's gonna, over time, I feel like that's gonna put some weight on your wrist. It looks big. The Steam Deck looks kind of big. It looks kind of big.
All right, then, let's pretend.
And I'm kind of a little reserved or unsure about the placement of those controls at the top, near the top of the console right there. Up here, that it just looks weird. Like it looks like this device to me, it looks like it's gonna be straining on the hands. it looks like it's going to be a little bit less user friendly long term.
I'm a brand new customer who doesn't own any Steam games, and I head straight for the store. No, not that store, although they do have excellent water bottles and mouse pads there. To Valve's credit, this has already improved a lot. In fact, it was part of a big, long list of improvements that Valve sent me just minutes before we sat down to film this video. But fortunately, I caught this one already. I had this whole thing written up about how the closest thing to a Steam Deck verified page in the store was the SteamOS/Linux heading under the Categories tab that frankly reminds me of the reasons that Nintendo introduced their Seal of Quality program back in the 80s. Like, honestly, Climb Fall Human, guys? Really? I wonder if it's a Fall Guys ripoff. One of the new and trending games was like, Elfwives cheat to ride my meat. Fortunately, that mess has been papered over with a proper Great On Deck header that allows you to browse titles that are verified to run flawlessly by category, popularity, ratings, discounts, all the usual fare. And this is hugely important, because for those who haven't been closely following Steam Deck news, it runs a modified version of Arch Linux called SteamOS. And game compatibility relies either on the developer to build a Linux native version of their game, or this super cool compatibility layer called Proton, or Steam Play. So this is great, but there's a bit of a navigation problem here, Valve. Where on earth is the comprehensive list of Deck verified games? You've got this wonderful page on your website outlining the 4 different tiers of compatibility: verified, playable with tweaks or workarounds, unsupported, and unknown, but nowhere on the official site, or more importantly, in the store, can I just browse a comprehensive list of every game that works on the Deck.
Okay.
This wonderful page
that's a nice point.
Website outlining the 4 different tiers.
But look at this. I know one of the selling points of the Steam Deck, from what I read when it first got announced, is that you get to play all these games, because of course what they're trying to do is compete with Nintendo. So one of the selling points is, well, all the games that Nintendo hasn't remastered and re-released on the Switch, there's now there's going to be no game you can't play on the Deck, on the Steam Deck, because it's literally like a handheld PC, gaming PC. I didn't know that there would be this category, these 2 categories right here, unsupported and unknown. This game is currently not functional on Steam Deck. What? Huh? Well, that doesn't make sense. I thought all games would be. Interesting.
Of compatibility: verified, playable with tweaks or workarounds, unsupported, and unknown, but nowhere on the official site, or more importantly, in the store, can I just browse a comprehensive list of every game that works on the Deck. And whatever the reason is for this obfuscation, I don't care. It's a terrible user experience. My first Google hit for a workaround was this list on Digital Trends from a few days ago, which led me down a rabbit hole to steamdeckverified.avery.cafe, a totally credible sounding site that scrapes the SteamDB database for verified status flags and then makes them easily searchable. Big prop.
That's a lot of work to find out what games are compatible with your Steam Deck. And upside to that, whoever makes websites that make a compatible list of games, they're going to get a lot of traffic. They're going to get a lot of user traffic.
To the community maintainers of both of these projects, but my gratitude towards them doesn't change the fact that neither of them should be necessary if Valve was on top of these things. I'm sure they're going to get this sorted out in time, but considering that Valve's core competency is supposedly selling games through a digital storefront, it just struck me as a little ironic that I encountered everything from slow page loading to titles not highlighting as I was scrolling, making it so that I had to navigate out of the store and come back to it and figure out where I left off, to this confusing compatibility error message that I got while trying to download the demo of a Steam Deck verified game. I mean, given the importance of selling games to balance out Valve's aggressive hardware pricing, I hope that the plan is to get this in order as soon as possible. Or maybe the plan is just to allow me to buy additional copies of games that I already own.
I'm not buying
While
hope.
I'm at it, by the way.
I'm not buying hope from a gaming company, I'll tell you that
While I don't mind the
much.
store reloading if I haven't looked at it in a while, if I'm quickly switching back and forth between my library, it would be really nice if it remembered what page I was on. It's really frustrating.
So they lose your page
Heading
if you
into the
navigate
library,
outside
things
of
take a
the
turn for the better.
outside of the
1
store.
terabyte micro SD card and
That's a
found
deal
that while I
breaker for
didn't
me
always
too.
get a prompt
Something
for
as
which
small as
storage
that is
device I
important
wanted
to me.
use, it is super simple to transfer games to the internal SSD and vice versa. And depending on the game, I saw download speeds over Wi-Fi of anywhere from 30 to 40 megabytes per second and closer to 60 to 70 with spikes to 100 using a USB Type-C dongle. That's those Zen 2 cores going to work. Love it. And the game library, inspired by Steam Big Picture, is delightful, mostly. In here, we'll find a mishmash of games that I bought years ago, ones that I
Bro,
picked up
look
recently to enjoy
how
on the
he's
jet.
holding his hands. Look at his wrist right here. Look at his wrist. Like, that is such an unnatural, position to have your wrist at. Like, I know he's probably holding this in front of like a camera of some sort, but it just looks weird. Like, the way you're gonna hold this big console, it's big. I can tell it's big. And then you got the buttons all the way at the top here. So this area right here is just weight. It's just weight. I'm so skeptical.
Heck, and pretty much every other unknown status game that I tried was a big fat negatory. The good news is that according to the third-party resources, the number of verified games has been absolutely skyrocketing, including many games that I would actually want to play while I wait for some of my favorites to arrive. And, more good news, every verified game I tried, with the exception of Fez, which I had some crashing
Bro, the
issues
way
with,
he's holding
was
that
a
thing,
smooth
bro,
enough
it does
experience
not look
that I would simply
comfortable.
never
That
even
stuff
know
is
that I
gonna,
wasn't on
over
Windows.
time, it's gonna
Smoother,
hurt.
actually, in some cases.
Let's talk about some really cool stuff the Steam Deck does better than a Windows handheld. Say I'm on the bus, gaming away, and boom, we're at my stop. Look at that sleep speed. Now I'm walking down the street, ready to continue, and bam!
Bro,
Xbox? Sure,
you are
but
not
I'd like to
pulling
see a
that
Windows
big
PC
old
do
thing
that.
out of your
How about
pocket. That thing is
sleep
big.
battery?
You are not pulling that
in
out of
our
your
rough
pocket.
estimation,
That's a book
boom,
bag
we're at my
carry.
stop. Look at that sleep speed. Now I'm walking down the street, ready to continue,
See,
and bam!
look, it's already halfway out of
Xbox?
his pocket. He ain't even really pulled that out of his pocket.
The bus, gaming away, and boom, we're at my stop. Look at that sleep speed. Now I'm walking down
It's already halfway outside his pocket
the street.
because he can't fit that whole thing in his pocket. You gotta pay attention to the details. You gotta pay attention. That whole thing not fitting in your pocket, bro. That's a book bag. That's a book bag device, bro. If you got one of those things in your pocket, it's gonna break. It's gonna break. It's not made to go in your pocket. It's portable, but it's not made to go in your pocket. Ain't nobody putting that in their pocket, bro. Don't nobody wear pants big enough like that no more. So you're not putting that in your pocket. Look at the handle right here. This is not going in your pocket. Look how much it's big. That thing is big.
Ready to continue, and bam!
Look how big
Xbox?
that thing is.
Sure, but I'd like to see a Windows PC do that. How about sleep battery drain? In our rough estimation, it appears that the Steam Deck loses about 10% of battery every 24 hours in sleep. It's not quite Apple level, I mean, what is? But it's miles better than most Windows laptops. Okay, so now I'm in my
See,
game.
you're
here, right? I'm
comparing
just
this console
farming some
to a
wild
laptop. It's supposed to be a console.
Wars or something, and I want to hang out and voice chat without going through the hassle of installing Discord in desktop mode or whatever. Steam menu, friends, voice chat, and man, let me put it this way. I accidentally gave Linus a call in the middle of the night while playing around with this menu, and we were both blown away by the progress Valve has made with audio compression in recent years. And adding icing to the cake, he described the mic quality on the Steam Deck as mid-tier, which is high praise indeed for a microphone on a $400 handheld that's a couple of feet from your face.
Here's a quick sample of the Steam Deck's microphone through Steam Voice Chat. And here's a quick recording of the Steam Deck's microphone through Discord.
The one challenge we ran into was during intense scenes, the game's audio could break through Valve's attempts at canceling it out. But the solution to this was as simple as either boosting the call volume or lowering the game volume, resulting in a really excellent social experience. All without Nintendo Gold, Xbox Gold, PS whatever. Thank you very much, Valve.
Honestly, though, As a friendless person, it's the quick access menu over here, these 3 dots, that impresses me the most. Whether you're in a menu or mid-game, the quick settings menu is full of all kinds of goodies. You got your notifications, nothing really that interesting there. A way to more quickly
He's
access
gonna
your
keep
friends.
reminding us he don't
And
got no
you've got your
friends.
quick settings. In here, you can adjust screen brightness, and you will want to do it this way. Not a huge fan of Valve's auto brightness. I think it needs some work. You can adjust your rumble and haptics, which, by the way, are still unamazing because they don't have dedicated hardware for it, but both of them are greatly improved through updates since our hardware review.
Bad rumble?
And you can prioritize your connected controllers, toggle your wireless radios, all that good stuff. Bluetooth audio, by the way, for those who are bitter about years of Nintendo apathy, was completely painless with both my LG Tone-Free FP8s and my AirPods Pros, and I didn't try much else. The dumbest part of this traditional console opacity is that enthusiast-grade diagnostics are such an obviously powerful business tool. And when Steam Deck 2 comes out, it's going to be trivially simple for gamers to compare performance, which is...
See, that's what I'm talking about. A lot of times in this video, he's talking about improvements that been made, progresses that's been made. He's already talking about Steam Deck 2 when the Steam Deck ain't even been out for 3 months. I know this isn't an official Steam video, but what I'm saying is potential. They are selling you potential. So it's all good and well if you support them, and that's what you want to follow, is what improvements they're making. But see, we're talking about this device here, the Steam Deck. So the point is this device worth buying? Is this device worth my money? Or is it a device used to cater to people who have a gripe with Nintendo or other companies?
A powerful upsell mechanism that it is baffling to me that everybody else doesn't want to leverage. So this is the proof that you can build something for the hardcores under the hood and then also keep it clean for the normies that never want to look at any of that stuff. I actually get a lot of BMW vibes, to be honest. Great hardware, fantastic out-of-box experience, definitely some quirks, but also a ton of thought that goes into weird edge cases. For example, I ran an update, and while the deck was rebooting, I went out of network range. So it got a little confused for a few seconds when it turned back on. Then it kind of went, oh, okay, I guess we don't have network. Just dumped me in the profile selection screen. I clicked on it, and boom, I was on the homepage. I mean, Valve has had a much better offline experience than many other platforms for years, and that work is paying off in spades here. One of the biggest challenges that they face with the Steam Deck is handling cloud saves with a portable device. So to address this, they introduced a technology that allows seamless saving across devices, and that sounds great for the future. Gotta run to the can? Take your deck with you. All done? Pick up where you left off on your desktop. For the moment, though, things are a little more glitchy. To demonstrate, let's abruptly suspend a game session here. The deck goes to sleep, we go to launch that same game on desktop, and oops, we get a prompt warning us that we could lose progress if we continue. Waking the deck, closing the game, and putting it back to sleep resolves the issue, but it's not particularly elegant for the moment. And there are still quite a few rough edges. Here are a couple of navigation annoyances, for example. The keyboard doesn't roll over horizontally. Oh, and my precious quick access menu. This one drives me absolutely, but it's not particularly elegant for the moment. And there are still quite a few rough edges. Here are a couple of navigation annoyances, for example. The keyboard doesn't roll over horizontally.
The keyboard doesn't roll over. What does that even mean?
Oh, and my
Oh, that means when you're all the way to the right side or the left side, press the left button or the right button to get on the other side. So you have to navigate completely across if you're on one side. That's minor. It's not that big of a deal.
my precious quick access menu. This one drives me absolutely crazy. As you are scrolling through the submenus here, okay, if you go all the way down, it doesn't go into the next parent menu, obviously, because that would be stupid. But if you go up, It just carries all the way through. Some consistency would be nice here. But I'm sure Valve is going to see this and fix everything that I've talked about before any customer actually gets the device in their hands, which leads us perfectly into a huge discussion point.
We've almost completely glossed over some massive elephants in the room. We've hardly even touched on game compatibility, especially with third-party launchers and anti-cheat schemes, and that's for good reason. We just don't feel like it should be our focus today. It's not perfect today, no doubt. Much of both of our Steam libraries are either entirely incompatible or have issues, but the Steam Deck needs to be evaluated for what it is. Not perfect today, no doubt.
Look at this list already. Look at this list. That is crazy to me. You're telling me GTA 5, a game that's been out for almost 8 years, only has partial compatibility? What? What? Can't play Dark Souls? Batman Arkham Asylum? You can't play Batman Arkham Asylum? You can't play Fall Guys? Listen. I would say from this video, from what I'm picking up on, is if you support Steam, if you are a big supporter of Steam, they are asking you to buy this console. That's what message I'm receiving, so far with this. If you support Steam, you should buy this and be patient and wait to see if they can't continue to get better. But as for right now, I really don't see this as really even competing with the Switch. To me, this it's like this video said at the beginning. It's incomplete. This is incomplete. And I'll say this just from experience off the top of my head with Skater XL. Skater XL did this thing too. They released their game before it was done. They released the game before it was done to get, I guess, I can't say why they did it, but you can't argue that it's not complete. And I think that it's the same way with the Steam Deck. They released it without it being complete. And so a lot of people who bought into the whole selling point of with Skater XL was okay. This is a new generation skateboard game. There isn't one recently. There wasn't one recently for console. Before Skater XL, there was no recent skating game for this generation. Going back to Skate 3, which was a PS3 game. The selling price or the selling point for Steam Deck really is, well, this is the new generation. We're leaving the Switch behind. But when you look at how they're describing this device, it's not really, it doesn't really express that. It looks like there's problems that people are going to have to wait for Steam to fix for it to possibly, maybe in the future, be that incomplete. And so what you're going to end up having is people who really bought into this looking at this device and going, man, this still ain't it. And I feel that's kind of similar way with Skater XL. It's like it's a nice thing to have. It's a nice thing to have, but I didn't get what I paid for. I didn't get what was advertised. And I'm just saying that's something to be wary of as far as spending money. That's something to pay attention to. And maybe just for me, withhold and wait, follow along and see what can come along later. There's nothing about this whole release that's telling me that anything needs to be done now from a consumer side as far as buying it. I'll follow along, But it doesn't look promising. It doesn't look promising. It's just a lot of, to me, it's a lot of potential.
Most of our Steam libraries are either entirely incompatible or have issues. But the Steam Deck needs to be evaluated for what it is, not what we wish it could be.
Right.
It's a console, which means it's compatible with the games it's compatible with.
Right.
But unlike any other console in history, it's fluid. Using a compatibility tool like Lutris means it's entirely conceivable that a gamer could flip over to desktop mode on the Steam Deck and fire up Anno 1800 using the touchpads. But unless they're willing to put in the work and maybe tolerate some inconveniences, like the fact that multiplayer doesn't seem to work at all despite a gold rating on ProtonDB, it's just not going to be the kind of experience that most gamers are after. Which is why we feel that most people should probably look at Valve's verified list, or somebody else's, and make their own decision. It's an easy one for us. We're in. If you're on the fence but have a gaming PC, fear not, because for games that don't yet run natively or through Proton, Steam Remote Play on the Deck is probably the best, most responsive game streaming setup I've ever used. It's straight up outstanding, and we don't say that a lot. But we'll also be looking at some of the more hacky use cases in more detail in the future once Valve's had a little bit more time to not complete the Steam Deck. Ah yes, we're back to that. What might surprise you about our It's Incomplete take is that Valve agrees. Obviously, they've been hard at work refining the experience in the lead up to the consumer launch. Nobody wants to embarrass themselves. But they also have no intention whatsoever of stopping here. It's frustrating because it means consumers are expected to take whatever Valve offers today and trust that someday it'll live up to the vision, but it's also encouraging because it means that, looking at it like a console, once we've worked through the generous 400 some odd game launch titles, there's hope that it's going to be better for years to come. And honestly, I'm hopeful.
And with that in mind, I want to immerse myself in the Steam Deck experience, and I'm going to be switching to it as my only computer for a month, starting today. During that time, I hope to explore the desktop experience, browser games. Apparently, controller support is coming to a Chrome update, which sounds super cool. Third-party game stores. GOG, for example, has outright said we're not going to support it, but maybe there could be workarounds for non-validated games. I want to look at the Windows experience. Actually, Windows might end up being a separate video. I don't know about that. So it's incomplete, but I'm not complaining. I mean, I spent my whole life as a gamer asking for someone to take the guardrails off my console and let me do whatever I want with it, understanding that there might be some hiccups along the way. And someone finally did it. So if you're like me, you can see that Valve took the rougher path here, but damn it, that's our path, and I couldn't be happier. So keep your pre-orders, ladies and gentlemen, because you're going to absolutely love this thing.
So what's happening is Steam is selling you hope. It's selling you hope. It is selling you potential for $400, which is within the same realm of the asking price for the Nintendo Switch, which is a complete console. So they're looking for the same price as a complete console, but their console is not complete. It's got hopes. And that's one thing I'm not going to agree on. If you want to sell me hope and sell me potential, you better give me hope and potential prices. Don't charge me full price for 75%. Don't charge me full price for 85%. If you want hope and potential, you got to give me hope and potential prices. I'm not even going to go into what they should have charged. That's not my business. I don't run Steam. That's not what I'm saying. Is the price that they're asking for is either similar or identical to the Switch. But the you can say whatever you want about the Switch. It's a complete console. All the perks and abilities are complete. Everything that they're doing now is trying to, maybe add some ice cream on top of it. Little sprinkles, you know what I'm saying? It's a little extra, but the console itself is complete. So, to me, like I said, I'm not buying it. I'll keep watching, and from what I just looked at on here, an article, when you look up Steam Deck price, one of the first articles on PC Gamer says the Steam Deck is the best budget gaming PC you can buy. So now it's turned it into, well, if you can't afford a PC, why don't you get the next best thing? But when they first came out, all I heard was this is going to put the Nintendo Switch in the dirt. Yeah, so that's what I got. That's the conclusion I got from this video. Wait and watch. I'm not gonna buy that. I'm happy with my Switch. I'll buy an OLED model of the Switch before I buy a Steam Deck.